Hello everybody, welcome back to another video. This time I'm covering the new Marigold show. This might be a little old news at this point, but I couldn't watch it until today. There was some circumstances stopping me from doing what I want for the last 2 days, also known as work. So so I finally watched the show today, and just right off the bat, for those of you who are curious about what I actually thought of the entire show as a whole before I go into each specific match, I'm not going to go into too much of a rundown like I did for my last Stardom review. I'm just going to kind of give my what I liked here and there, what I didn't like, things like that. First off, the whole show altogether, I'm saying outstanding on my scale. I really haven't perfected my scale yet, so I don't know exactly, like, things might change later on down the line, but right now the only thing I got worked out is right at the bottom is sucks, then bad, then okay, good, great, outstanding, masterpiece, and in that order. So obviously I gave this an outstanding, which means it's right below a masterpiece, but right above amazing, I think. Like I said, still working on the scale. There was very few things in the show that I actually did not like. There's only one match that got lower than a great, which is pretty awesome for a first show. You'd think, seeing how half of these wrestlers have never even worked together before, but they have had a decent amount of time to work together to kind of build it up. With that said, I'm going to do a quick rundown of the entire show. The first match was Nanae Takahashi versus Victoria Yuzuki. Now versus Miku Alno. Chiaki versus Mirai. Then for the fourth match, we have Mai Sakurai and Zeta Steel versus Nagisa Nozaki and Mila Grace. Semi-main event, Natsumi Shizuki and Misa Matsui versus Koki Amare and Chika Goto. And then the main event is Julia and Utami Hayashishita versus Sari and Bozilla. For the first match, we had Nanae Takahashi versus Victoria Yuzuki. Victoria Yuzuki, I'm just going to call her Yuzuki from now on, is pretty awesome for a rookie. Her skill level isn't exactly like the best, but for her level of expertise and experience, she is pretty good. If you hear weird sounds, my dog is sitting right here on my bed. She's very she doesn't like being alone, and my days off she sticks to me all day. First thing I noticed was Yuzuki came out in a really awesome gear. As you guys might know, yellow is my favorite color, so I always have a soft spot in my heart for wrestlers who decide to don that color. She comes out in a full all yellow gear, does an amazing front flip over the front rope to get into the ring, which, dang, kind of like, slow down there, girl, The fact that we have streamers back in wrestling. I know that Stardom brought them back for Mayu's going home show or whatever. Part of me kind of thinks that they only did that because they knew Marigold was going to be using streamers, and they wanted to make it seem like we're bigger, so we had much more streamers. Every single wrestler at least got a little streamers except the foreigners. Those are the only ones that didn't, and that is understandable. I was surprised that some of them got so little, but then some of them got a lot that I was not expecting. So anyway, back to Yuzuki's outfit. Looks amazing. Our other dog decided to come in. He likes to get under my bed, so yeah. Anyway, back to her outfit. It's a very standard style. Like, it's nothing unique. Like, don't get me wrong. It's nothing that we haven't seen before, but I think it looks really good. She's got really good color matchups, the yellow, the whites. Now, whether she's planning on just going full yellow altogether, or she's just doing it because Marigold's color is yellow. I know at least one other wrestler implemented the yellow color into her outfit because of Marigold. So I don't know if this is how it's going, because she even dyed her hair yellow again, which she had done before, Yuzuki, apparently before she debuted or something like that, according to Sunny. So this match altogether was, I'm going to have to give it an amazing, because it was the perfect up and coming rookie versus seasoned vet match. It was amazing, but like these kind of matches can never be above amazing, really, just because of the skill level of the rookie usually. But Nanae beat the hell out of Yuzuki in this match. Very stiff hits. As you guys know, I was never a big fan of Nanae. I didn't like how she always came in and just won. That's like she just always came in and she won all the time. It was just it was very annoying. But in this match, it was obvious she was going to win. That was the whole point. The whole point was to show Yuzuki's like fighting spirit. Like how good can she do against a seasoned vet? And I think she did amazing. There was a lot of really cool moments in this match, but most of the really, really nice ones was just Nanae just beating the hell out of Yuzuki and Yuzuki getting back up. She put up a really good fight, but in the end she did lose to a I don't know what they called it, but she did basically a splash off the top rope and pinned her. If I remember correctly, that was my prediction, was that Nanae was going to pin her, which, duh. If anyone went against me on that, I'm sorry. You just don't know wrestling, apparently. So moving on to the next match, we have Nao Ishikawa versus Miku Aono. Nao comes out in a very interesting get-up. Very orange. I don't know what her color was before coming to Marigold, and again, I don't know if this is supposed to be like just a tribute to Marigold itself, but she comes out with flowers in her hair and she's using orange and yellow as her colors. I can only assume that it has to do with Marigold. She has the Marigold symbol on her knee pad. She just looks great, honestly. She's very tan too. I don't know if she's always been really tan. I don't remember her being really tan when she was facing Tam, but here she is like the darkest person in the show, which is awesome. She looks very cute. As you guys know, to the build up to Marigold, I went and I watched the Now versus Tam Nakano match to kind of get a feeling of who she was, and then I also watched her match against Risa Sera, and I became a huge fan of Now's after that. She was killing it. I really loved her spirit and her like fight, her fighting spirit, her gung ho ness. I thought she had a lot of potential in her, just like how I kind of felt the same way about Tam when she first started Stardom. I was like, she has the entertainment aspect down. She just needs to get better at wrestling, and her passion, I feel it. I feel like she could go down the route of Tam, where she ends up becoming one of the best wrestlers. Then Miku Aono comes out and she's just looking all royal and whatnot. She's really well loved. The match itself, this was the match I was the most looking forward to, just because I really liked Miku Aono before all this, and then I've become a huge fan of Now because of this. And they did not disappoint. Right off the bat, I'm giving them a outstanding. They went at each other. It felt like it was a personal grudge match. Out of all of the matches on the show, and I believe Sonny mentioned this, or the other announcer did, but they mentioned that this was the only match on the card that was like a personal thing. Now felt slighted because she was one of the original people who joined Marigold, who started Marigold. But then when the actress girls came in, Miku Aono started getting higher placement on like the posters and stuff over Now, and so Now got really upset. She was like, "Hey, what the hell? I started this with you guys. Like I left everything to come be something here, and this chick just joins up last minute, and all of a sudden she's got all of the praise and the spotlight, and this is bull." You could feel her tenacity and anger in this match. She did a really good job of the facial expressions and everything like that. And Miku Aono did her thing. She's very stiff, very early years Killer Momo-esque vibe. The hard-hitting drop kicks, the hard-hitting everything. So yeah, the match ends with Miku Aono pinning Now after a Styles Clash. I did call this one. it was just as obvious as the first match, to be honest. There was no way they were going to have Now beat Miku. They're clearly setting Miku up as a top card player, if not a high mid card player in Marigold. So that was just understandable. And then I love how at the end, because very few matches actually got after match promos, but this one is one of the ones that didn't. But after the match, you just have Now kind of like all beat up and stuff, looking up angry at Miku, and Miku just kind of smirking smugly at her, and then they kind of go their separate ways. Obviously, this is not the end of these two. I would love if this kind of became a Tam Arisa situation, or like a Julia Tam, where they're just rivals for now on. Like, that would be really cool. Next match, we have what a lot of people are saying is the second best match on the show. I finally was able to go back on X and the internet because I was avoiding spoilers like the plague. So in this one, if you guys remember, my prediction was that Mirai beats Chiaki, and of course that is the outcome here. But the most surprising thing was, you guys were right. I did two different polls, one on my Twitter, my X, and one on my YouTube, because my YouTube one gets way more votes than my X ones. I just wanted to see. And I can't remember which is which, but one of them said that the singles match they were most looking forward to was Miku versus Now. And then the other one said the one that they were looking forward to the most was Mirai versus Chiaki. Now, I didn't know anything about Chiaki before coming into this, but oh my god, she killed it in this match. And Mirai, she's becoming one of my favorites, which is crazy because I did not like her in the beginning. If you guys remember, when she first came on the Stardom scene with her and Ami, I basically just referred to them as like Shirai, Mirai, and Green Mirai. Like, it was yeah, Mariah was just really boring, but she's absolutely killed it right now. Right now in Marigold, she's in phenomenal shape. She's very fast and explosive in the ring because of it, and she still has all of that power behind her moves. She hasn't lost any of that power in expense to speed. She just added speed, which is insane. She's wrestling at a very high caliber right now, and it's very surprising to me from what I remember of her. Obviously, I was wrong about her currently, and you guys were trying to tell me that, and you were right. These two absolutely tore the house down. This is by far, this might be the best match of the night, but I could see why some would think another match is better than it, and I kind of feel the same way, but at the same time, this is a very close contender. I'm giving this an outstanding plus. I'm just changing the rules already. I just realized I gave Now versus Miku an outstanding, and it wasn't on the same caliber as this, but that's the problem with scales. Yeah, an outstanding plus. Don't worry, I'll never go above a masterpiece. There will never be a masterpiece plus. I have some integrity, all right? So yeah, an outstanding plus. These two tore the house down. They did so many amazing things in this match. Rai did her little backflip Spartan kick thing that I absolutely love. It is one of my favorite moves in wrestling right now. It's very simple. It's very simple to get me. You just kind of have to do the right thing. So yeah, at the start of the match, it kind of seemed like they were going for a face versus heel dynamic with Chiaki coming out as the heel, but with everyone kind of cheering her on and her just apparent love of wrestling, she could not help but have the hugest grin on her face for pretty much the entire match. So it was more of like a face versus tweener kind of dynamic. As far as I could tell, there were no heels in this match. Bozilla or not in this match, this show. Bozilla definitely tried, but I'll go into that later on. These two were insane. They did not hold anything back. They really went at each other. They were very stiff. They were very hard hitting. It was an early Stardom era kind of wrestling match, and that is what I've been missing because Stardom has gotten so soft recently, within the last couple of years, and I feel like it's mainly because of how many shows they put on. You can't do early Stardom show quality and hard hittingness when you're having 3 shows a week. Like, it's just, you're not going to withstand that. But I've heard that this promotion is going to have a much more early stardom schedule, which is probably really great for me because I can't keep up with all that wrestling, first off. And for 2, we're probably going to get some really amazing matches out of it. So this match ended, obviously, with Mirai beating Chiaki, which is what I called as well. So I'm 3 for 3 already. Don't worry, I did get some wrong. And the way they ended the match was with one of the most hard-hitting lariats I have ever seen. Mirai decapitated Chiaki. I would not be surprised if they had cut down to Chiaki afterwards and her head was off of her shoulders. That was insane. She put so much power and oomph into it that I was just like, whew. Yeah, so Mirai has definitely become a favorite of mine. Chiaki has moved up there quite a bit. She's pretty awesome. I'm looking forward to seeing more of her. So moving on to the next match, we have... Okay, so this is the one that I was kind of excited for, but then at the same time, I felt like had the most potential to suck. And I was right. We have Mai Sakurai and Zeta Steel versus Nagisa Nozaki and Myla Grace. The World Beauty Showdown. Now, the reason why I thought this had the potential to be the biggest stinker of the show was we have 2 foreigners, first time wrestling in Japan, so they don't even have experience at it yet. And I don't know anything about them, so I don't even know if they're good wrestlers. And Mai's not like the best wrestler. She's like a mid-carder at best. And then Nagisa is pretty good. But my rating of this match was an okay. Unfortunately, it was the biggest stinker of the show. I just don't think they did that great. The worst one, the one that really brought the match down, in my opinion, and I'm not trying to be mean or anything, I'm willing to give her more time to show me that I'm wrong. But the one that I felt like brought the match down the most and was the worst wrestler was Zeta Steel. She just felt very awkward out there. A lot of miscommunications and timing issues. And I don't know if that has to do with her just being nervous or her not being able to communicate with the other wrestlers as easily. I don't know, because the other one, the Maya girl, she kind of killed it. She did really good. Now, there was a little snafus here and there with her too, but not nearly as many as Zeta. And Maya seems to be really talented. She's very, very fluid in the ring. She pulled off some really crazy stuff in this match, which I was very surprised by. So big props to her. And then obviously I don't really need to talk about Nagisa. She's amazing. Or not amazing. She's really good. She can hold her own. And she's probably going to be here for quite a while in Marigold as a freelancer, from what I can tell. Mai did good as well. She was she didn't really bring down the match, and she brought it up a little bit. But basically, if Nagisa wasn't in this match, the match would have been much worse than an okay. The match ended with a time limit draw, which at first I was like, but then I saw what they were doing with it. They're clearly setting up future matches between Nagisa and Mai, and then from Zeta and Maya, they kind of set up that. And then I could see Mai and Zeta going to challenge for the tag belts, depending on how long Zeta's going to be there and how long it takes them to debut the tag belts. Obviously, I know who they're going to give the tag belts to. It was quite obvious or clear based on what happened in this show. I'll talk about that when I get to their match. Yeah, there's really not much for me to say about this match. It was the biggest stinker of the show. It was just okay. For a first show with foreigners wrestling in Stardom for the first time, wrestling with your mid-card talent, I think that's the best that you could hope for. I now agree. I see what they were doing. They wanted all the singles matches in the beginning and then all of the tag matches in the end, because you could have a lot more like chaotic action with the tag matches, to give the ending of the show more of an oomph to it. But I do agree with some people because I was seeing this on Twitter a lot. I wasn't agreeing before, but now afterwards, with hindsight, I agree with them. As this match should have been lower down on the card. It probably should have been like the second match or even the third match. I'm going to move on because, like I said, match was not that good. Then we have the semi-main event, and this was the match that really surprised me because I haven't seen Shizuki wrestle in years. I watched like one match of hers, I think, from when she used to be in Stardom. And then that's it. The rest of them, I don't think I've ever seen. I'm pretty sure I did do a video on Actress Girls, but I don't know who was in it at the time. All I remember is that I really liked Miku Alno. So the two that really, like Shizuki and Misa Matsui versus Koki Amurai and Chika Goto. This match I'm giving an amazing. With the biggest standouts to me was Shizuki and Misa Matsui. They, holy cow, guys. I'm not exaggerating when saying that like they could have been top card contenders in Stardom levels of talent here. They were amazing. Misa was insane. She was pulling off some stuff that I was like, wow, I miss seeing this like on a regular basis in Stardom. She is an amazing high-speed wrestler. She is quite clearly going to win the flyweight belt or the featherweight belt, featherweight belt, the under 55 kilogram belt. I don't see anyone else who's even at her skill level who, I mean, other than Julia. But obviously Julia's not going to go for it, you know. It's even though that belt's not supposed to be like a lower tier belt, it's beneath her, you know, beneath her. Plus, it's kind of like a roundabout high speed belt, which I actually prefer the weight limit thing, because at least now there's like distinct rules. The high speed belt, there weren't like rules, like anybody could challenge for it, anyone could hold it. It didn't make any sense. Like when Mary Apache held it, like, what? You know? So she's obviously going to win this. I thought that Koki Amurai and Chika Goto kind of disappointed me a little bit. Especially Koki, because Koki was getting gassed up so much online by people. They're like, oh, keep your eye out for Koki. Keep your eye out for Koki. She's amazing. She's insane. You're going to love her. I'm like, okay. Like, I'm going to keep my, expectations lower, but you guys were forcing them high, and she fell far short of your guys' praise. I mean, don't get me wrong, she did good. Her and Chika Goto did good. The only reason why this match isn't amazing, though, is because of Misa Matsui and Shizuki. They absolutely stole the show. Them alone, like, just what they did in their match, like, almost made this match, like, top match contender. Like, they did amazing athleticism and moves and everything. Now, with the biggest surprise, and I got this wrong, I believe I predicted that Shizuki was going to pin Chika Goto. That made the most sense to me because Shizuki's like big, like, not big, but like the most experienced. She's got like 12 years of wrestling. But what really ended up happening was Koki pinned Matsui after like a turning frog splash, like that thing that Starlight Kid used to do as her finisher back when she was like a rookie. But yeah, that was very surprising to me. I was not expecting that at all. And then I started thinking about it and the things to come, and then I realized, oh, of course, they're gonna give Koki and Chika the tag belts. They're gonna be the first tag champ, because they were playing up a lot before the match, with the commentary about their win rate before Stardom. Or not Stardom, Marigold. That's going to be hard to do. Before Marigold. They were like, yeah, they have like a 70% win rate. They've won the last like blah, 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 blah matches. They're not used to losing when they're teaming together. And I'm like, okay. All right, that's interesting. But they're going up against Misa Matsui and Shizuki. And then they won. And I was like, okay. All right. These are your inaugural tag champions. I'm calling it now. You can make me look like an idiot if I'm wrong, but I don't see any other outcome from what just happened. So yeah, great match. I gave it an amazing. Now we're going on to the main event, which got a lot of build up. And I was very worried about this main event, particularly because of one wrestler, Bozilla. So we had Utami Hayashishita and Julia versus Sadi and Bozilla. All the things that I've heard from Bozilla made me worried. I was less worried knowing that she was the disciple of Alpha Female, because Alpha Female was amazing. And if anyone could teach her how to be a proper big girl wrestler, it would be one of the best big girl wrestlers. A lot of people were telling me that she's only had like 20 matches. And that made me worried, because being a big girl wrestler requires some finesse, some knowledge, experience, and power, which that was the one thing that I felt like she lacked. She did not have the power that she was trying to portray. It was very obvious that she was struggling to pick up and throw these women, which is insane, because if you're gonna be a big girl wrestler, you gotta be able to do big girl wrestler things. Now, don't get me wrong, she did do them, she just struggled, which is not a good look for power wrestlers. You shouldn't look like you're struggling to throw people who are like half your size. Now, with that said, she did actually do really good. They kept her role in the match very small. She was, instead of her and Seri taking on these two, it was Seri taking on these two with an assistance from Bozilla. Bozilla did very little, and that was what made the match better. She did what she could at the time of her talent. She mostly came in and blindsided the other wrestlers when they were focused on Sadi. It did a really good thing. Now, there was one thing that really surprised me. Bozilla, big girl, not very fast, obviously not super like athletic in terms of speed and agility. She did a moonsault off the second rope, and it looked fine. What? No, when I tell you, when she started climbing up to that second rope, I was like, okay, that's a weird way to get to the top rope to turn around, because she was going from the inside. And then she stopped on the second rope, and I was like, oh, is she doing a Vader bomb? I love the Vader bomb. I'm a big fan of Vader bombs. And then she was like, and I was speechless. I was mouth dropped, like just looking at the screen. Like, no, there's no way she's doing this. And then she did it. So props to Bozilla. That's hilarious. That is awesome. And she did it. Now, the way the match ended surprised me again. So 2 matches in a row. Surprised. Which, good on you, Rossi. You completely threw out my expectations. The match ended with Seti pinning Julia. Now, I don't remember my prediction, but I know that wasn't it. I believe my prediction was Julia pinning Seti, only because no other option made sense to me. Because you're not going to have Bozilla lose in her first show, because obviously they're putting her as the top gaijin. She wouldn't be in the main event otherwise. And honestly, out of the 3, I think she was a good choice. And then you're not going to have either Julia or Utami take a pin, because these are your 2 top stars in your new promotion. You don't want them to lose in the first show. And then Saudi's been kind of on a losing streak. And not like a losing streak. Obviously, I've only watched one other match. But she just lost to Mayu. So it didn't make sense for her to lose again on like another big show to someone who is less than Mayu. And that's not a slight against Julia or Utami. That's just the truth. They were setting up a singles match, but I don't know if that's still going to happen now, because Julia got injured in the match. The only reason I knew that was because I went on X afterwards, even after watching the post-match interviews. I didn't realize she was injured. She fractured her wrist. And I think I know the exact moment she did too. It was when she did like the butterfly superplex off the top rope with Seti. You could tell that she like kind of grabbed her wrist. I'll show it here on screen so that you can see it. But that's my theory on when she fractured her wrist. But yeah, she fractured her wrist, so now she's gonna be out of wrestling for a little while. Like she's gonna miss the Hana Kimura Memorial Show. She's gonna miss all of the shows going forward for a while, which is gonna be a huge blow to Marigold because Julia was gonna be one of their main attractions. So I'm curious to see what they're gonna do for that, and if they still are gonna plan on the Julia versus Sadi and just push it back to when she can. Did I rate this one? I don't think I rated it. It's an outstanding plus. There was just too much awkwardness from Bozilla for it to be a masterpiece. And I gotta be honest, I am not the biggest Utami fan. I didn't like her most of her career. I felt like she was overpushed in the beginning beyond her level, and then she was thrown into the main event well before she was ready, and she was boring. And honestly, it kind of still feels that way now. Out of all of the 4 wrestlers that were in this match, the one that had the least impact on me was Utami, which is kind of crazy when you have a green rookie, Bozilla. Like, in many ways, Bozilla outshined Utami in this match, which is crazy. Because even me, who's not a big fan of Utami, would have never thought that was going to happen in a million years. But there's not a single person on this show that I'm not willing to give more chances to. You cannot judge a wrestler off of one match. Now, this is a very important match. You can judge their readiness to be a star off this match, for sure, off one match, for sure, especially a match like this. On the inaugural show of Marigold, you need to step it up. Some wrestlers stepped it up. We got Mirai, Chiaki, we got Misa Matsui, Shozuki. They stepped it up. You got Yuzuki. Now, obviously, I'm not going to name the people who are like, like Nanae. Like, obviously, she's been doing it for 20-something years. Like, she's obviously, good to go. And I'm not going to name people like Julia. She's been in the limelight for, like, ever. And obviously, she did great here, too. And then Sadi is just, So, there were people who stepped it up in this show. Oh, and now. Sorry, forgot to mention now. So, for Utami to kind of fall flat like that after everything that she has been given is really disappointing for me. I was really hoping that she was going to be one of the ones that kind of proved me wrong after all this time. It was like, hey, you stopped watching a couple years ago. You didn't see her, how good she got. And now she's amazing. Kind of like Mirai. But she feels the same. Now, I don't know if that was because she was just kind of taking a back burner like Bozilla to give Julia and Sadi the spotlight so that they could set up their singles match in the future. If that is the case, then she did a good job because she did not steal any limelight whatsoever. But Bozilla did that too, but she still had her moments of shining, and I honestly can't remember a single Utami moment that stood out to me other than her holding Bozilla back. All right, well, thank you for watching. Let me know in the comments what you thought about this show. Who were the standout stars for you? Which was your favorite match? I'd love to hear some comments and some, different opinions. Mushmouth. Differing opinions than my own. I am now going to be back on X for a little bit until the next show. Because I refuse to watch Marigold spoiled. I am done doing that. I want to be a fan again. I know that that's a little greedy asking when you have a channel like mine. You kind of have to be up on it, but you know what? I started this channel as a hobby, and I'm going to finish it as a hobby. I'm going to do it the fun way. And the fun way is being a fan, and being a fan means watching the matches unspoiled. Thank you